Have you ever noticed negativity spreads faster than Wi Fi? One comment, one failure, one comparison, and suddenly your whole day feels heavy. But what if I told you that negativity is not your enemy, it is your teacher? Stay with me till the end, especially the last lesson, because what I'm about to share can completely change the way you experience difficult people, difficult situations, and even difficult thoughts. My dear friends, we live in a world where outrage trends faster than gratitude. Social media rewards criticism. News channels amplify fear. Conversations often revolve around what's wrong, not what's possible. And somewhere in the middle of all this noise, you are trying to build a life. You wake up with dreams, but you scroll into comparison. You step out with courage, but you meet someone's judgment. You try to stay positive, but your own mind whispers doubts. Negativity is everywhere, outside and inside. But here's the truth: you cannot control the wind, but you can adjust your sail. Today, I want to share three secrets, simple, powerful, life transforming secrets that will help you rise above negativity without becoming bitter, defensive, or emotionally exhausted. Let us begin. Let us begin with the first one. Do not absorb what was never meant for you. My dear friends, have you noticed how easily we carry things that were never ours to carry? Someone's bad mood becomes your headache. Someone's insecurity becomes your self doubt. Someone's harsh comment becomes your sleepless night. It is almost as if we walk through life with an invisible sponge, absorbing every drop of negativity around us. And then we wonder why we feel heavy. Let me ask you something. If a delivery person comes to your house with a parcel that does not have your name on it, would you accept it? No. You would politely say, "This is not mine." But when criticism arrives without understanding, when judgment arrives without context, when someone projects their frustration onto you, we accept it immediately. We sign for emotional parcels that were never addressed to us. I once met a young woman after a talk. She was extremely talented, intelligent, sincere, yet she was shrinking inside. Why? Because someone in her life repeatedly told her, "You will never be successful." I asked her, "Who said that?" She mentioned a relative who had failed in their own career. I smiled and said, "When someone who is drowning tells you that you cannot swim, do you believe them?" Very often, people speak from their wounds, not from wisdom. Negativity is often a projection of pain. When someone criticizes excessively, it may not be about you, it may be about their insecurity. When someone mocks your dreams, it may not be about your capability, it may be about their fear. When someone discourages you, it may not be about your potential, it may be about their limitations. But here is the challenge: we internalize their projections as our identity, and slowly, their voice becomes our inner voice. That is dangerous. You see, feedback is valuable. We must not become arrogant and reject all criticism. Sometimes others see blind spots we cannot see. But the key is discernment. Ask yourself three questions whenever you receive negativity. Is this coming from someone who genuinely cares about my growth? Is this specific and constructive? Does this help me improve? If yes, learn, adjust, grow. But if it is vague, insulting, repetitive, or rooted in comparison, then it is emotional pollution. And my dear friends, you must not inhale pollution voluntarily. I remember traveling once during monsoon season. The rain was heavy. I saw lotus flowers in a pond. The water was muddy, the environment messy, but the lotus stood tall. The mud did not stain its petals. The water did not drown it. Why? Because its surface was designed not to absorb what would damage it. In the same way, your mind must develop that surface. How? By strengthening your self awareness. When you know who you are, when you know your values, when you know your intentions, then random opinions lose their power. Imagine a tree with deep roots. If someone shakes its branches, does it fall? No. But a plant with shallow roots collapses with a slight push. Negativity only destabilizes those who are unsure of themselves. And let us be honest, sometimes we are unsure. Sometimes their words hurt because somewhere deep inside, we already fear that it might be true. That is when self work becomes essential. Instead of fighting the world, build yourself. Instead of arguing with every critic, strengthen your competence. Instead of proving them wrong, prove yourself right through consistent effort. Here is something important. You do not need to attend every argument you are invited to. Not every message requires a reply. Not every insult requires a defense. Not every misunderstanding requires explanation. Silence is often a sign of strength, not weakness. And sometimes the most powerful response is emotional detachment. If someone throws mud at you and you start throwing mud back, both of you get dirty. But if you step aside, the mud falls on the ground. You preserve your dignity. My dear friends, protecting your mind is a spiritual responsibility because your mind is the temple where your dreams live. If you allow every passerby to walk in with dirty shoes, how will that temple remain sacred? So, from today, practice selective absorption. Listen, but filter. Reflect, but do not over identify. Learn, but do not label yourself prematurely. Remember, someone's opinion is not your destiny. Someone's anger is not your identity. Someone's projection is not your truth. And when you stop absorbing what was never meant for you, you feel lighter, you smile more, you sleep better, you work with clarity because you are no longer carrying emotional garbage that was never yours. And this is just the beginning. Because once you stop absorbing negativity, the next powerful step is to strengthen your inner climate. And that, my dear friends, changes everything. Because once you stop absorbing what was never meant for you, the next transformation is not outside, it is inside. Strengthen your inner climate. My dear friends, we often complain about the weather outside. It is too hot, it's too cold, it's too humid, it's too unpredictable. But tell me honestly, have you ever checked the weather inside you? Because two people can walk through the same storm. One feels destroyed, the other feels awakened. What makes the difference? Their inner climate. If there is insecurity inside, even a small comment feels like an attack. If there is anger inside, even a small delay feels like disrespect. If there is emptiness inside, even success feels incomplete. The world is not always negative. Sometimes it is our internal condition that magnifies everything. I remember meeting two colleagues who worked in the same office, under the same boss, facing the same workload. One constantly complained, "This place is toxic. Nothing is good here. Nobody appreciates me." The other said, "It's challenging, yes, but I'm learning so much. Same environment, different inner climate, different experience of reality." You see, your mind is like soil. If the soil is fertile, even a small seed of opportunity will grow. If the soil is dry and cracked, even good seeds will struggle. So the question is not just how do I remove negativity from outside? The real question is how do I nourish positivity inside? And this requires intentional habits. Let me ask you something very simple. What is the first thing you consume in the morning? Is it gratitude? Or is it your phone? Because the first content you feed your mind sets the tone for the entire day. If you wake up and immediately scroll through comparison, conflict, and crisis, do not be surprised if your mind feels restless. But if you wake up and sit quietly, even for 5 minutes, breathe deeply, reflect on three things you are grateful for, suddenly your nervous system shifts. Gratitude is not a poetic concept, it is psychological protection. Negativity cannot dominate a heart that is consciously thankful. I once tried a small experiment during a particularly busy period of my life. Every night before sleeping, no matter how exhausting the day had been, I forced myself to write down three things that went well. Some days it was simple. I had a good cup of tea. I had one meaningful conversation. I completed one task honestly. What changed was not my schedule. What changed was my focus. And slowly, I noticed something powerful. My mind stopped hunting for problems and started noticing blessings. You see, whatever you repeatedly focus on becomes your mental default. If you focus on what's missing, life feels insufficient. If you focus on what's present, life feels abundant. Now, let me be very honest. Strengthening your inner climate does not mean pretending everything is fine. It does not mean suppressing pain. It means building resilience. Imagine you are building a house in an area where storms are common. Would you complain about the storms or would you strengthen the foundation? Life will bring criticism. Life will bring setbacks. Life will bring unfairness. But if your inner foundation is strong, self discipline, gratitude, clarity of values, spiritual grounding, then storms become training, not destruction. One of the most powerful ways to strengthen your inner climate is to control your inputs. Be careful what conversations you entertain. Be careful what media you consume. Be careful what thoughts you rehearse. Because repetition creates belief. If you repeatedly tell yourself, I am behind in life, eventually you will feel stuck, even if you are progressing. If you repeatedly tell yourself, I am learning and growing, you will move with confidence, even during setbacks. And let us talk about comparison. Comparison is one of the biggest leaks in our emotional system. You open social media for 5 minutes. Someone got married. SOMO. Nay bought a car. Someone launched a startup. Someone is traveling abroad. And suddenly, your peaceful morning becomes a silent competition. But remember, you are comparing your behind the scenes with someone else's highlight reel. Strengthening your inner climate means defining success personally. What matters to you? What values guide you? What kind of person do you want to become? When your life is anchored in purpose, comparison loses power. And here is something deeply important: protect your solitude. In silence, clarity grows. When you constantly surround yourself with noise, your mind never resets. Even 5 minutes of quiet reflection daily can regulate your emotions, sharpen your reactions. Inner strength is built in silence. My dear friends, the world will not reduce its negativity for your comfort, but you can increase your stability for your growth. If it is winter outside, wear a coat. If it is raining outside, carry an umbrella. And if there is negativity outside, strengthen your inner climate. Because when your inner world is peaceful, external chaos becomes manageable. When your inner world is grateful, external lack feels temporary. When your inner world is disciplined, external distraction loses charm. And once your internal environment is stable, something beautiful happens. You stop reacting impulsively, which brings us to the most powerful and life changing secret of all. If you miss this next lesson, you will miss the heart of the transformation. Now we arrive at the heart of the transformation. If you truly understand this, your relationships will change, your peace will deepen, and your confidence will become unshakable. Respond with responsibility, not reaction. My dear friends, most negativity in this world does not survive on its own. It survives because we feed it. Someone raises their voice, we raise ours higher. Someone criticizes us publicly, we defend ourselves aggressively. Someone sends a sarcastic message, we craft an even sharper reply. And just like that, a small spark becomes a wildfire. Reaction is instinct, response is maturity. There is a small gap between what happens to you and how you behave. In that tiny gap lies your freedom. But most of us surrender that freedom instantly. Let me share something simple. Have you ever sent a message when you were angry and later wished you could delete it from the universe? We have all been there because when emotion drives action, regret often follows. I once observed two men arguing in traffic. One was furious, shouting, blaming everyone. The other man stepped out of his car calmly. I thought, now this will escalate. Instead, he folded his hands and said, Brother, you seem stressed. Please go ahead. I hope your day gets better. The angry man froze. The fight ended before it began. Why? Because negativity needs participation. If you refuse to participate, it weakens. Now understand this carefully. Responding with responsibility does not mean tolerating disrespect silently. It does not mean allowing injustice, it means choosing dignity over ego. There is a difference. When you react, you are controlled by the situation. When you respond, you are guided by your values. Reaction is immediate, response is intentional. Reaction says, how dare you? Response says, what is the best way to handle this? Reaction seeks victory. Response seeks clarity. And here is something very powerful. The person who angers you controls you. If someone can disturb your peace with a few words, they have remote control access to your emotions. Is that not dangerous? Why give that power away so easily? When you strengthen your inner climate and you stop absorbing unnecessary negativity, the next natural step is this: you slow down, you pause, you breathe, you ask yourself, will my reaction improve the situation or worsen it? Most conflicts are not about the original problem, they are about uncontrolled reactions. A small misunderstanding becomes a broken friendship. A small disagreement becomes a silent war. A small ego clash becomes years of distance. All because no one paused. Let me tell you something deeply spiritual. Every moment is an opportunity to express your highest self or your lowest impulse. And life tests you when you least expect it. Someone interrupts you in a meeting. Someone takes credit for your work. Someone misunderstands your intention. Someone speaks behind your back. In that moment, you have two choices: prove them wrong aggressively, or prove yourself strong calmly. Calmness is not weakness, calmness is power under control. When you respond responsibly, three things happen. First, you protect your peace. Second, you maintain your dignity. Third, you influence the situation positively. And even if the other person does not change immediately, you remain centered. My dear friends, do not confuse intensity with strength. The loudest person in the room is not always the strongest. Sometimes the strongest person is the one who can walk away without hatred. There is a beautiful truth in this. You cannot control how others behave, but you can control the standard you live by. Let others shout, let others gossip, let others judge. You stay aligned with your principles because at the end of the day, your character is your real reputation. People may misunderstand you temporarily, but your consistent behavior will reveal the truth eventually. Now imagine a world where more people responded instead of reacting. Fewer broken relationships, fewer emotional scars, fewer unnecessary conflicts. It begins with one person. It begins with you. From today, practice. Sir, the sacred pause. When you feel triggered, do not speak immediately. When you feel hurt, do not text immediately. When you feel angry, do not decide immediately. Give yourself space. In that space, wisdom whispers. And here is the final realization: negativity outside is temporary, but the habits you build inside are permanent. If you react habitually, chaos becomes your pattern. If you respond consciously, peace becomes your pattern. My dear friends, true strength is not shown when everything is going well. True strength is revealed when you are tested, when you choose patience over impulse, when you choose dignity over ego, when you choose understanding over revenge. That is rising above negativity, not by suppressing emotion, not by pretending everything is fine, but by mastering yourself. And remember this timeless truth: you cannot always control what happens around you, but you can always control who you become in response to it. And when you consistently choose awareness over anger, responsibility over reaction, and growth over ego, negativity loses its power. You rise, you mature, you transform. And that, my dear friends, is real success. Because true success is not defeating others, it is mastering yourself. And when you master yourself, peace follows you everywhere. Because knowledge without application is like medicine left unopened, it cannot heal you. You have now understood three powerful truths. Do not absorb what was never meant for you. Strengthen your inner climate. Respond with responsibility, not reaction. But the real question is, will you practice them? Because life will test you. Maybe not tomorrow in a dramatic way, but in small, ordinary moments. Someone will ignore your message. Someone will underestimate you. Someone will disagree with you. Something will not go according to your plan. And in that ordinary moment, you will remember this conversation. That is where transformation begins. Let me tell you something very honestly. Peace is not found in perfect conditions. Peace is built in imperfect situations. If you wait for everyone to understand you, you will wait forever. If you wait for the world to become positive, you will grow old in disappointment. But if you decide, I will guard my mind, I will nourish my spirit, I will act with maturity, then negativity loses its grip on you. And here is something deeply profound. The world does not need more reactive people, it needs more responsible ones. It does not need louder voices, it needs calmer hearts. It does not need more critics, it needs more conscious souls. Be that person, not because others deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Imagine waking up without replaying someone's harsh words. Imagine working without carrying resentment. Imagine sleeping without mental arguments. That freedom is priceless. And it is available to you, not by changing the world, but by mastering yourself. Let me leave you with this thought. When mud is thrown at a wall, it sticks. When mud is thrown at the sky, it falls back down. Be the sky, high enough not to be stained, wide enough not to be shaken, clear enough to reflect light. Negativity will come, criticism will come, misunderstanding will come, but so will growth, so will wisdom, so will strength. And every time you choose awareness over impulse, you grow. Every time you choose gratitude over complaint, you rise. Every time you choose calmness over chaos, you win. My dear friends, happiness is not about having a life free from negativity. It is about having a mind free from unnecessary negativity. When your awareness grows, negativity shrinks. When your discipline strengthens, distractions weaken. When your heart is grounded in purpose, opinions lose their power. So, from today, do not just listen to these words, live them. Because true success is not measured by how high you climb, it is measured by how peacefully you stand. And when you put awareness first, ego naturally takes the last place. Rise above negativity, not with anger, not with pride, but with quiet strength, spiritual depth, and conscious action. And I promise you, when you master the world within, the world outside cannot disturb you. Stay peaceful, stay aware, stay rising. Your best version is waiting. Not to listen to me, but to listen to yourself. Because the real battle with negativity is not happening on social media, it is not happening in your office, it is not happening in your family, it is happening quietly inside your own mind. And here is something we rarely admit. Sometimes we become the source of our own negativity. We replay past mistakes. We overthink future fears. We compare our chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. We criticize ourselves more harshly than anyone else ever could. So let me ask you gently, when was the last time you forgave yourself? When was the last time you said, "It's okay, I am learning"? Rising above negativity is not only about handling difficult people, it is about handling yourself with compassion. Because if your inner dialogue is harsh, the world will always feel hostile. Speak to yourself like you would speak to someone you deeply care about. Encourage yourself, guide yourself, correct yourself with kindness, not cruelty. My dear friends, growth does not happen in an atmosphere of self hatred. It happens in an atmosphere of self awareness and responsibility. You are not perfect, you are evolving. You have made mistakes, but you are not your mistakes. You have faced rejection, but you are not rejected by life. You have experienced setbacks, but you are not set back permanently. Negativity tries to convince you that this moment defines you, but awareness reminds you this moment is just one page, not the entire book. And here is the most powerful realization of all. The quality of your life will not be decided by how many negative situations you face. It will be decided by how consciously you face them. There are people with less comfort who are deeply peaceful. There are people with great success who are deeply restless. So, what makes the difference? Inner mastery. When you stop absorbing what isn't yours, when you strengthen your inner world daily, when you respond with dignity instead of impulse, when you forgive yourself and move forward, you become unstoppable. Not because life becomes easy, but because you become strong. And strength is not loud, strength is calm, strength is patient, strength is grounded. My dear friends, do not underestimate the power of small daily discipline. 5 minutes of silence, 3 minutes of gratitude, one conscious pause before reacting. These small practices shape your emotional future. Your destiny is not built in dramatic moments, it is built in ordinary decisions. So the next time negativity knocks on your door, do not panic, do not fight blindly. Simply ask yourself, is this mine to carry? Is my inner climate stable? What is the most responsible response here? And then act from awareness, because awareness is power. And let me leave you with this timeless, faith driven truth. Life's quality is determined not by the events you experience, but by the consciousness you bring to them. When you anchor yourself in gratitude, negativity loses its weight. When you anchor yourself in purpose, distractions lose their charm. When you anchor yourself in faith, fear loses its voice. True success is not living a problem free life. True success is living a conscious, peaceful, purpose driven life, no matter what comes. So, say, Rise above gossip, rise above comparison, rise above your own limiting thoughts, not with ego, but with awareness, not with anger, but with understanding, not with force, but with faith. Because when you master the world within, no negativity outside can shake you. Stay aware, stay grounded, stay rising. And remember, happiness is not about having everything, it is about being grateful for everything you have while courageously building what you desire. My dear friends, since you are still here, let me tell you something very important. The fact that you are still listening means a part of you wants growth. A part of you is tired of being emotionally disturbed by small things. A part of you wants peace, not temporary excitement, but deep, steady peace. And that itself is beautiful because transformation does not begin when life changes, it begins when intention changes. Now, let us take this one level deeper. Negativity will not disappear from your life after this video. Tomorrow, someone may still criticize you. Next week, something may still go wrong. Next month, you may still face uncertainty. But what will be different is you. Earlier, negativity controlled your mood. Now, awareness will guide your response. Earlier, one comment could ruin your day. Now, one conscious breath can save it. Earlier, you reacted to prove a point. Now you will respond to protect your peace. And that shift from reaction to response is spiritual maturity. You see, maturity is not about age, it is about emotional discipline. There are people who are 50 years old but still react like children. And there are young people who handle conflict with incredible grace. The difference is not experience, the difference is awareness. My dear friends, life is constantly offering you two paths: the path of ego and the path of growth. Ego says, how dare they? Growth says, what can I learn? Ego says, I will show them. Growth says, I will improve myself. Ego says, they are the problem. Growth says, let me check my response. The ego path feels powerful in the moment, but it leaves regret. The growth path feels difficult in the moment, but it leaves strength. Choose wisely. And let me share something deeply personal in nature. Not about me, but about human behavior. When we feel small inside, we try to appear big outside. We argue louder, we criticize more, we defend aggressively. But when we feel secure inside, we do not need to prove anything. Security creates silence. Insecurity creates noise. So if someone is being negative around you, sometimes the most compassionate thought is this: they must be fighting a battle I cannot see. This thought alone softens your heart. It does not justify wrong behavior, but it protects your peace. And protecting your peace is not selfish, it is wise. Because when you are peaceful, you make better decisions. When you are calm, you think clearly. When you are grounded, you inspire others without trying. You become stable. And stability is rare in today's world. Everyone is rushing, everyone is reacting, everyone is comparing. Be the exception. Be the person who pauses. Be the person who listens. Be the person who chooses dignity over drama. Because over time, something magical happens. People begin to trust you. They feel safe around you. They respect your composure. And even more importantly, you respect yourself. There is no greater confidence than knowing you handled a difficult situation with maturity. No trophy compares to that. No external validation equals that inner satisfaction. My dear friends, your life will not be remembered for how many arguments you won. It will be remembered for how many storms you navigated with grace. So when negativity appears, and it will smile internally, not sarcastically, but confidently, because you now know something powerful. Negativity is a test of your inner strength, and every test you pass makes you stronger. Do not fear criticism. Do not fear misunderstanding. Do not fear rejection. Fear losing your awareness. Because once awareness is lost, ego takes over. But when awareness is present, wisdom speaks. And wisdom always leads you upward. So let us end this journey with something eternal. Happiness is not the absence of negativity. Happiness is the presence of consciousness. Peace is not found in silent surroundings. Peace is found in a disciplined mind. Success is not rising above others. Success is rising above your lower impulses. When you put purpose above ego, clarity replaces confusion. When you put gratitude above complaint, abundance replaces scarcity. When you put faith above fear, courage replaces doubt. So rise, my dear friends. Rise gently, rise consciously, rise responsibly. The world does not need another reactive voice. It needs a steady heart. Be that heart. And remember, when you master yourself, you master your life. Stay aware, stay grateful, stay rising. Your transformation begins not tomorrow. My dear friends, since you are still here, let us seal this journey in your heart. Close your eyes for a moment, not literally if you're driving, but internally. Imagine the version of you who is no longer disturbed by small negativity. Someone comments, you smile, someone criticizes, you reflect calmly. Something goes wrong, you adjust gracefully. How would that version of you walk? How would that version of you speak? How would that version of you sleep at night? Peacefully. That version already exists inside you. It is not something you need to import from the world. It is something you need to awaken within yourself. Negativity. Thai does not define you. Your response does. Let me tell you something powerful. The world will always test the depth of your growth. When you say, I want patience, life sends delays. When you say, I want strength, life sends challenges. When you say, I want peace, life sends disturbance to measure your stability. So, do not complain about the tests. They are evidence that you are ready for the next level. Every time you resist reacting impulsively, you build emotional muscle. Every time you choose gratitude in difficulty, you build spiritual resilience. Every time you forgive instead of holding resentment, you free yourself. Notice something important. Forgiveness is not about letting others escape consequences. It is about freeing your own mind from carrying poison. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. Why carry that burden? You deserve lightness. My dear friends, you are not here to collect emotional scars. You are here to evolve. And evolution requires discipline. Not dramatic discipline, not extreme discipline. Simple daily discipline. Pause before speaking. Think before assuming. Reflect before reacting. Pray before panicking. Small habits, big impact. Let me ask you one final question. At the end of your life, what will matter more? That you proved people wrong or that you lived peacefully? That you won arguments or that you preserved relationships? That you reacted strongly or that you stood firmly? Time humbles everything. The insults fade. The comparisons fade. The competition fades. But your character remains. And character is built in moments when no one is clapping for you. When you choose silence over ego, when you choose integrity over impulse, when you choose maturity over momentary satisfaction, that is greatness, not loud greatness. Quiet greatness, and the world desperately does it because negativity spreads quickly, but calmness spreads deeper. When you remain composed in chaos, you become a source of strength for others. People may not say it immediately, but they feel it. Your presence becomes peaceful, and that is one of the greatest contributions you can make to this world. So, from today, promise yourself three things. I will not absorb what is not mine. I will nourish my inner world daily. I will respond with dignity, not reaction. Repeat it internally. Because repetition builds identity. You are not weak. You are not behind. You are not defined by one difficult season. You are growing. You are learning. You are becoming. And let me leave you with this timeless truth that I deeply believe. When you put awareness first, negativity naturally loses its power. When you put gratitude first, fear loses its voice. When you put faith first, confusion finds clarity. True success is not about having a perfect life. True success is about having a peaceful mind while building a meaningful life. Rise above negativity, not with force, but with consciousness, not with pride, but with humility, not with noise, but with inner strength. And I promise you, when you master the world within you, no storm outside can shake you. Stay steady, stay aware, stay grateful. Your highest self is not far away. It is waiting for you to choose it. My dear friends, since your heart is still open, let us end this not just as a talk, but as a commitment. Because inspiration without commitment fades. And you are not here for temporary motivation. You are here for transformation. Let me tell you something very real. Negativity will revisit you. It will knock again. Maybe through a disappointing result. Maybe through someone's harsh words. Maybe through your own self doubt on a quiet night. But next time it comes, I don't want you to feel helpless. I want you to smile gently and say, I know how to handle you now. Because now you understand not everything that touches you deserves to enter you. Not everything that happens to you deserves to define you. Not everything that hurts you deserves to control you. You are stronger than you think. Sometimes we underestimate ourselves because we focus too much on our weaknesses. But think about this: you have survived every difficult day you once thought you couldn't handle, every heartbreak, every rejection, every failure, every misunderstanding. You are still here. That is strength. And if you survive those storms without these principles, imagine how stable you will be now with awareness. The goal of life is not to avoid challenges. The goal is to outgrow your old reactions. Earlier, you may have reacted instantly. Now, you will pause. Earlier, you may have doubted yourself deeply. Now, you will reflect wisely. Earlier, you may have absorbed negativity unconsciously. Now, you will filter consciously. Growth is subtle. It is not fireworks. It is not dramatic. It is quiet shifts in thinking. It is small improvements in response. It is choosing peace when ego demands war. My dear friends, do not chase a life where no one criticizes you. Chase a life where criticism cannot shake you. Do not chase a life where no one misunderstands you. Chase a life where misunderstanding does not disturb your self worth. Do not chase a life free from negativity. Chase a mind free from unnecessary negativity. That is real freedom. And here is something deeply spiritual. When you begin to rise above negativity, you begin to see people differently. Instead of enemies, you see teachers. Instead of obstacles, you see training. Instead of criticism, you see feedback. Instead of delays, you see preparation. Perspective transforms experience, and perspective is a choice. Life is no tea just happening to you. Life is responding to the consciousness you bring to it. If you bring anger, you see conflict. If you bring fear, you see threat. If you bring awareness, you see opportunity. Choose awareness. because awareness is the light that dissolves darkness. Let me leave you with one final reflection. One day, years from now, you will look back at this season of your life and you will not remember every insult. You will not remember every small conflict. You will not remember every negative comment, but you will remember the moment you decided to grow, the moment you stopped blaming and started building, the moment you stopped reacting and started responding, the moment you stopped absorbing and started filtering. That moment changes everything. So today, make that decision. Not loudly, not publicly, but internally. Say to yourself, I will rise above negativity, not because others deserve it, but because I deserve peace. And remember this eternal truth: when you put purpose above ego, when you put gratitude above complaint, when you put faith above fear, you do not just rise above negativity, you rise into your highest self. Stay conscious, stay grounded, stay rising. And always remember, true success is living consciously, joyfully, and purposefully, no matter what the world throws at you. Your journey upward continues. My dear friends, this time, let us not just end with words, let us end with conviction. Because information can touch your mind, but conviction transforms your life. Right now, somewhere in the world, someone is being criticized, someone is being compared, someone is feeling misunderstood, someone is doubting their worth, and maybe that someone is you. But here is what I want you to remember: negativity is loud, but it is not powerful. Awareness is quiet, but it is unstoppable. You don't need to silence the world, you need to strengthen your center. Imagine a spinning wheel. The outer edge moves fast, unstable, chaotic, but the center remains still. Be the center. Let circumstances spin. Let opinions spin. Let drama spin. But you remain grounded. And how do you remain grounded? Daily awareness, daily gratitude, daily discipline, not once a week. Not only when life feels difficult, every day, because consistency builds character. You do not build emotional strength in comfort, you build it in resistance. Every time you choose not to react, you are strengthening your future. Every time you choose patience, you are deepening your wisdom. Every time you choose faith over fear, you are expanding your courage. My dear friends, life does not reward those who react the fastest. It rewards those who remain steady the longest. Steadiness is rare. In a world of instant replies, be thoughtful. In a world of outrage, be composed. In a world of comparison, be content. Contentment does not mean you stop growing. It means you grow without hating where you are. And that balance, ambition with gratitude, protects you from negativity. Because many people are not negative due to failure, they are negative due to comparison. They forget their own journey while watching someone else's. Focus on your path. Water your soil. Strengthen your roots. The tree that grows slowly but steadily stands longer than the one that shoots up quickly without foundation. So do not rush your peace. Do not sacrifice your mental stability just to win temporary approval. Approval fades, peace stays. And when you protect your peace, you protect your future. Let me give you one final inner exercise. The next time someone says something negative about you, instead of asking, why are they like this? Ask, what is this teaching me? Maybe it is teaching patience. Maybe it is teaching detachment. Maybe teaching resilience. Maybe it is teaching you to trust yourself more deeply. Nothing is wasted when you live consciously. Even negativity becomes training, and training creates strength. My dear friends, you were not born to carry bitterness. You were not born to carry resentment. You were born to evolve, to rise, to become wiser than your circumstances. And here is the final truth I want to leave in your heart. You cannot control how the world treats you, but you can control how you treat your own mind. Guard it, guide it, ground it, because when your mind is stable, your life becomes stable. When your heart is disciplined, your actions become powerful. When your awareness expands, negativity shrinks automatically. So rise above negativity, not by fighting everyone, but by mastering yourself, not by silencing others, but by strengthening your inner voice. And always remember, happiness is not about having everything go your way, it is about responding to everything in a conscious way. Stay aware, stay grateful, stay unshaken. Your strength is not in avoiding storms, your strength is in walking through them without losing yourself. And that is true growth. Now go into your life not as someone easily disturbed, but as someone deeply anchored, and let your peace speak louder than any negativity ever could. My dear friends, this is our final moment together in this journey. And I don't want to end it with excitement. I want to end it with clarity because excitement fades, clarity stays. You see, rising above negativity is not a one time decision, it is a lifestyle. It is waking up every day and choosing not to be emotionally available for unnecessary drama. It is training your mind like an athlete trains their body. An athlete doesn't become strong by working out once. They repeat, they discipline, they stay consistent. In the same way, emotional strength is built daily. Some days you will succeed beautifully. Some days you may slip and react. That's okay. Growth is not perfection. Growth is progress. Do not punish yourself for slipping. Correct yourself and continue. That itself is maturity. My dear friends, there is something deeply powerful about a person who cannot be easily shaken. Such a person becomes rare in relationships, they become stability, in workplaces, they become reliability, in families, they become calmness, in society, they become hope. Why? Because they do not allow negativity to dictate their identity. They know who they are. And when you know who you are, opinions become lighter. When your roots are deep, winds become weaker. Let me remind you of the three anchors you now carry. First, filter what you absorb. Not every word deserves space in your mind. Second, strengthen your inner climate daily. Gratitude, silence, discipline, these are not luxuries, they are necessities. Third, respond with responsibility. Pause before speaking, breathe before reacting, think before concluding. Simple principles, life changing results. But here is the most beautiful part. When you start living this way, something unexpected happens. Negativity around you begins to reduce. Not because the world changed, but because you stopped feeding it. People eventually stop provoking someone who doesn't react. Conflict reduces when ego reduces. Drama fades when participation fades. And slowly, your life becomes lighter, more focused, more intentional, more peaceful. My dear friends, you don't need a perfect life to be peaceful. You need a disciplined mind. You don't need everyone to agree with you to feel secure. You need self awareness. You don't need to win every argument to feel powerful. You need self control. And self control is the highest form of power. Because when you control yourself, no one else can control you. Let that sink in. When you control yourself, no one else can control you. That is freedom. That is emotional independence. And that is true strength. So, as you step back into your world today, remember this: negativity is not your enemy, it is your training ground. Every difficult person sharpens your patience. Every challenge deepens your resilience. Every criticism strengthens your clarity. Nothing is against you. Everything is shaping you. If you choose awareness, and let me leave you with this timeless truth that I want you to carry in your heart. True success is not rising above others. True success is rising above your lower impulses. When you master your reactions, you master your direction. When you master your thoughts, you master your peace. When you master yourself, you master your life. Stay grounded, stay conscious, stay rising, and remember your greatest victory is not defeating negativity around you, it is refusing to let it live within you. Now go, live lightly, respond wisely, grow steadily. Your higher self is not a distant dream, it is a daily choice. Choose it. My dear friends, this time let us end not with more ideas, but with a decision. Because you don't need more information. You need alignment. Right now, life is not waiting for you to become perfect. It is waiting for you to become aware. Negativity will come again. It always does. A comment, a comparison, a delay, a disappointment, a doubt. But next time, I want you to remember this moment. Not the words, not the sentences, the feeling. The feeling that you are bigger than your triggers. The feeling that you are stronger than your circumstances. The feeling that you do not have to react to everything that touches you. You are not a button for the world to press. You are a conscious being with choice. And choice is power. From today, let you, our life reflect three silent vows. I will not allow temporary emotions to create permanent damage. I will not let someone else's bad day become my bad attitude. I will not trade my peace for momentary ego satisfaction. If you can, live by these three vows, your life will transform quietly but permanently. Because most regret in life does not come from what happened, it comes from how we reacted. The message sent in anger, the relationship lost in ego, the opportunity missed in frustration. But imagine a life with fewer regrets, a life where you look back and say, yes, it was challenging, but I handled it with grace. Grace is strength in slow motion. Grace is power without noise. Grace is maturity without arrogance. And when you live with grace, you don't just rise above negativity, you rise above your old self. That is evolution. My dear friends, do not aim to be a person who never feels anger. Aim to be a person who knows how to handle anger. Do not aim to live without criticism. Aim to live without being shattered by it. Do not aim to avoid storms. Aim to become the kind of person who walks through storms without losing direction. Because storms test structure, and you are building structure now. Through awareness, through discipline, through conscious response. Let others be reactive, you be reflective. Let others chase validation, you chase growth. Let others spread negativity, you spread stability. And one day, people will look at you and say, how are you so calm? They will not see your inner work. They will not see your silent discipline. They will not see your conscious pauses. But you will know, and that inner respect for yourself is priceless. So here is the final truth I leave you with. Life's quality is not determined by how people treat you. It is determined by how you treat your own mind. Protect it, train it, elevate it. Because when your mind is peaceful, your life becomes powerful. When your heart is disciplined, your future becomes steady. When your awareness is strong, negativity becomes small. And remember this always: happiness is not having control over everything, it is having control over yourself. Rise above negativity, not by fighting the world, but by mastering your response to it. Stay steady, stay wise, stay rising, and let your peace become your greatest achievement. My dear friends, now Let us sit in one final silence together. Not the silence of absence, but the silence of understanding. You have heard the words, you have felt the emotion, you have reflected on your own life, but now comes the most important part: ownership. Because no speech changes your life, no video transforms your future, no advice reshapes your destiny. Only your decisions do. From this moment forward, negativity will not disappear, but your awareness of it will sharpen. And that is everything. You will notice when someone is projecting their insecurity. You will notice when your mind is trying to replay an old insult. You will notice when your ego wants to respond instantly. And in that noticing lies your power. Awareness is the space between stimulus and response. And in that space, you choose who you become. Do you become the old version of yourself, reactive, defensive, restless? Or do you become the new version, calm, grounded, intentional? My dear friends, your life will be shaped not by grand achievements alone, but by the small emotional choices you make daily, the tone you choose in a tense conversation, the patience you practice in a frustrating moment, the gratitude you hold in an imperfect situation. These are not small things, they are character defining moments. And character defines destiny. Let me share something very honest. The world does not reward the most emotional L person. It does not reward the most reactive person. It rewards the most stable person. Stability builds trust. Trust builds influence. Influence builds impact. So if you want to rise, truly rise, master your inner world, not to impress others, not to appear spiritual, but to live peacefully. Peace is not passive, peace is powerful. It takes immense strength to stay calm when you are misunderstood. It takes courage to walk away from unnecessary conflict. It takes wisdom to choose silence over ego. And that strength you already have. You just needed reminding. My dear friends, one day, when you look back at this season of your life, you will not remember every negative comment, but you will remember the day you decided to grow beyond them. The day you stopped letting opinions rent space in your mind. The day you strengthened your inner climate. The day you responded instead of reacted. That day is today. So as you step forward, carry this with you. You are not here to win arguments. You are here to win over your lower impulses. You are not here to silence the world. You are here to strengthen your center. You are not here to avoid storms. You are here to become unshakable within them. And here is the timeless truth I want to leave echoing in your heart. When you master yourself, you no longer fear negativity. When you anchor yourself in gratitude, you no longer drown in comparison. When you live with purpose, you no longer shrink under criticism. True success is not loud, it is not flashy, it is not reactive. True success is living consciously, joyfully, and purposefully, regardless of circumstances. So rise, rise above gossip, rise above ego, rise above unnecessary reactions, rise above your own limiting thoughts, not aggressively, gracefully, not arrogantly, humbly, not loudly, steadily, because the strongest person in the room is the O. Ne who cannot be easily disturbed. Stay aware, stay grounded, stay rising. And remember, your peace is your power. My dear friends, if you are still here, it means something inside you is ready, ready to stop being shaken by small things, ready to stop replaying negative words, ready to stop giving your peace away so easily. And that readiness is sacred because change does not begin with ability, it begins with willingness. Let me speak to you very personally now. There will be days when you forget, everything we discussed. A comment will hurt you, a delay will frustrate you, a comparison will shake you. You are human. Do not expect perfection from yourself. Expect progress. If you react once, learn. If you overthink once, reflect. If you absorb negativity once, release it consciously. Growth is not about never falling, it is about falling with awareness and rising with wisdom. My dear friends, one of the greatest freedoms in life is this: you do not have to attend every emotional invitation. Someone invites you to argue, you can decline. Someone invites you to gossip, you can decline. Someone invites you to compete unnecessarily, you can decline. Someone invites you to doubt yourself, you can decline. You are not obligated to participate in negativity. That is power. And when you consistently decline negativity, your life becomes lighter. You will notice something beautiful. You have more energy, more clarity, more focus, because negativity drains. But awareness restores. And here is something deeply important: the more peaceful you become, the more uncomfortable it may make those who thrive on drama. That's okay. Do not shrink your peace to fit into someone else's chaos. Stand steady. Let your calmness be your signature. Over time, people will either adjust to your maturity or distance themselves from it. Both outcomes protect you. My dear free Indians, imagine your mind as a garden. Every day, seeds are falling into it. Some seeds are gratitude, some are comparison, some are discipline, some are resentment, some are faith, some are fear. You cannot stop all seeds from falling, but you can choose what you water. If you water resentment, it grows. If you water gratitude, it grows. If you water insecurity, it grows. If you water confidence, it grows. So be intentional. Water wisely, because eventually you will live inside whatever you grow. And I want you to grow peace, grow resilience, grow self respect. Let others chase noise. You cultivate depth. Let others react quickly. You respond thoughtfully. Let others complain constantly. You build quietly. Because real growth is quiet. It does not announce itself. It reveals itself in your stability. And here is the final reminder I leave you with: not dramatic, not loud, but true. Your life will change the moment your reactions change. Not when your salary changes, not when your relationship status changes, not when your followers increase. When your reactions change, because reactions shape relationships, reactions shape reputation, reactions shape destiny. Master that, and you master your direction. So from this moment forward, promise yourself, I will protect my peace like it is precious, because it is. I will train my mind daily, because it needs training. I will rise above negativity, because I am bigger than it. And always remember, true power is not in controlling others, it is in controlling yourself. True strength is not shouting louder, it is standing firmer. True success is not defeating negativity outside, it is refusing to let it live within you. Stay steady, stay wise, stay rising. Your higher self is not far away. My dear friends, now let me speak to the part of you that is quiet, the part that does not argue, the part that does not shout, the part that simply wants peace. You don't want to fight the world, you just want to live without being constantly disturbed. And that is not weakness, that is wisdom trying to awaken. There is a beautiful truth about life: the higher you rise internally, the less you are affected externally. Small things that once hurt you deeply will one day feel insignificant. Words that once disturbed your sleep will lose their power. Situations that once created anxiety will become manageable. Not because life became easier, but because you became stronger. My dear friends, strength is built in invisible ways. No one sees when you choose not to reply to a hurtful message. No one sees when you swallow your ego and choose calmness. No one sees when you sit quietly and reflect instead of reacting. But you see it, and that builds self respect. Self respect is powerful because when you respect yourself, you stop behaving in ways that disturb your own peace. Let me tell you something simple but life changing. If your reaction will not matter in 5 years, do not let it control 5 minutes of your peace. Most of the things we react to today will not even be remembered next year, but the habits we build while reacting, those stay. So build better habits. Build the habit of pausing. Build the habit of reflecting. Build the habit of choosing maturity over impulse. Because maturity is attractive, not just to others, to your future self. Imagine meeting your future self 10 years from now. Would they thank you for reacting to every insult? Would they thank you for arguing unnecessarily? Would they thank you for carrying resentment? Or would they thank you for staying focused, for staying disciplined, for protecting your peace? Live in a way that your future self feels proud of your emotional discipline. My dear friends, the world will always have noise, but your life does not need to be noisy. The world will always have critics, but your mind does not need to host them permanently. The world will always have challenges, but your heart can remain steady. Here's the final mindset shift I want you to carry. Negativity is not a signal to fight, it is a signal to grow. When someone criticizes you unfairly, grow thicker skin. When someone misunderstands you, grow clearer communication. When someone competes with you, grow deeper focus. When someone doubts you, grow stronger belief. Turn negativity into fuel. Do not let it become poison because fuel moves you forward. Poison weakens you. The choice is yours. And remember something deeply spiritual. When your heart is aligned with purpose, when your actions are guided by integrity, when your mind is anchored in gratitude, no external negativity can shake your foundation. You may bend, but you will not break. You may feel, but you will not fall apart. You may face storms, but you will not lose direction. And that is real strength. So, as we close this journey, I want you to breathe deeply, not because everything is perfect, but because you are learning to handle imperfection with grace. Let others chase validation. You chase growth. Let others argue loudly. You build quietly. Let others react instantly. You respond intentionally. And carry this timeless truth with you. Life becomes peaceful not when people stop being negative. Life becomes peaceful when you stop being easily disturbed. That is mastery. That is maturity. That is true success. Stay aware. Stay disciplined. Stay rising. Your peace is not fragile. It is powerful when you choose it. Yes, my dear friends, if you are still here, it means something inside you refuses to settle for a reactive life. And that makes me hopeful. Because the world does not change through loud revolutions, it changes through quiet evolutions. And what you are choosing right now is evolution. Let me ask you something very honestly. How many times have you allowed one small negative moment to dominate an entire day? One comment, one mistake, one delay, and suddenly everything feels heavy. But if 10 good things happen and one bad thing happens, what does the mind remember? The one bad thing. Why? Because the mind, if untrained, is wired to hold on to negativity. That is why discipline is necessary. Not physical discipline alone, emotional discipline, mental discipline, spiritual discipline. You do not rise above negativity accidentally. You rise above it intentionally. Every time you pause instead of react. Every time you forgive instead of resent. Every time you focus instead of compare. You are training your mind. And the more you train it, the stronger it becomes. My dear friends, peace is not fragile. It feels fragile only when it is untrained. An untrained mind reacts to everything. A trained mind observes first. Observation creates clarity. Clarity creates calmness. Calmness creates power. And power, true power, is the ability to stay stable in unstable situations. That is rare, and rare things are valuable. Imagine being the person in your family who stays calm during conflict. Imagine being the person in your workplace who does not panic under pressure. Imagine being the friend who listens without judging. That presence is priceless, and you can become that person. Not by changing others, but by mastering yourself. Let me tell you something that may challenge you gently. Sometimes negativity persists in our lives because we're emotionally addicted to reacting. Drama gives adrenaline, arguments give intensity, comparison gives stimulation. But stimulation is not fulfillment. Calm growth may feel boring compared to emotional chaos, but calm growth builds stable success. So do not miss it. Ache excitement for progress. Steady improvement beats dramatic reaction every time. My dear friends, your peace is your responsibility, not your partner's responsibility, not your boss's responsibility, not society's responsibility.